All right, two all-star witnesses for COPA hit the stand. In this video, we're going to break down day 13 of the cross-examination for COPA versus Craig Wright in the Satoshi identity trial. So stay tuned to the end for a recap on who's actually ahead and what's going on with this video. So, just kind of give a little background here of actually what's at stake. If Craig Wright were to be determined Satoshi Nakamoto, there's going to be a couple other cases that will follow. One of which is what's called a passing off claim. And and another one is called a database rights claim. So over the Bitcoin database rights. So and what's unique or interesting here is that Justice Miller, the justice over the case, when he was a solicitor, he brought forward a case which is now precedent. It's a controlling case law in database rights law in the UK. And so he's known as a subject matter expert in the law in database rights. So, very interesting, stuff and exciting things happening right now that could potentially unfold. So we had two witnesses on the stand today. And we had Martti Malmi, who was an early Bitcoin developer. He was a Finnish student, and he was interested in a website called Anti-State. And so he reached out to Satoshi Nakamoto and said, how can I help? Satoshi immediately, which was peculiar, on the very first interaction, gave him access to a lot of control over the Bitcoin database on supposedly on the very first email to him. How can I help? Malmi then testified that he had never talked to Satoshi before that. Now, what's come up is that Malmi then later on, he changed Satoshi's access to the new forum so Satoshi could no longer access the forum. And Martti Malmi claimed that Satoshi never reached out to him to ask for access. However, peculiar was counsel for Wright. I said, well, did you ever get any direct messages from Satoshi to requesting access? He said, well, I just got one and I put it in my witness statement. Were there others? He says, well, I don't think so, but I requested access to the old archived messages and I couldn't get them before in time for this case. So he admitted that he received one from Satoshi, but he couldn't disclose the others. They were all archived, and he basically gave the old, it's archived excuse. So that right there was I would say, a very disingenuous witness in a disappointment for COPA, being that, they had this witness that could have been very, very helpful to their case. However, he's failed to provide the actual messages that he and Satoshi potentially had. Now, what could come up is if Wright does have those messages. We'll see. I mean, it's like these are like fireworks that could be happening, because he was very uneasy on those questioning, and it seemed like Martti Malmi should have had better reasoning for why he didn't have the messages. And then all of a sudden at the end, he says, I have a lot of respect for Satoshi, and if he ever reached out for me, I would give him access to the forum again if he wanted to come back. But supposedly now he doesn't have access, even though he created the project. He's not authorized to be on there. So this particular witness doesn't at all help determine the identity of Satoshi Nakamoto in any way. And I see no value on that. But it's just COPA's attempt is to discredit Wright in the entire process. And it failed to do that because you got a witness here who appears to be disingenuous in his testimony. So next up was Adam Back. He was he's actually was cited in the white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, was credited as an inspiration from his project Hashcash. And a lot of the testimony today was about that, about the early Hashcash days in the late 90s and 2000s, and then also how the code for the hashing related to the Bitcoin protocol. A couple key things that came out were, one, apparently Mr. Back, Dr. Back, he believed that basically counsel for Wright, or he's reading the white paper, citing certain sections of the white paper to Dr. Back, and he's asking him to read it. And he says, now, is that what Bitcoin is following, or is that what it's following now? And then he went on to a long answer, basically to say, no, Bitcoin doesn't follow that. I guess Bitcoin Core doesn't follow that protocol, in a roundabout answer. So he's admitted that it's changed the protocol from what it was on the white paper, and Satoshi was wrong in how it was written there. They've basically admitted it's gone in a different direction. So that's somewhat of a big reveal. The other thing was, he was asked, so he admitted he was the CEO of Blockstream, and then he was asked, he said, so are you involved in COPA? And he says, oh, and Dr. Back said, oh yeah, I'm a board member of COPA. We're a board member of COPA. And then he was asked, did you put that in your witness statement? He says, no, I didn't do that. So you're telling me that you're the other party, but you forgot to put that in your witness statement? Oh, by the way, I'm actually the other party on the other side of this case. I didn't put that. I just forgot to. That's just another disappointment for COPA. And why? What do they have to failure to disclose that in the witness statement? How does that help them? It doesn't. I mean, would it have hurt? I mean, maybe, but it seems like they're hiding something by doing that. So that's another point for Wright. I mean, I'm just calling it like it is. You know, if you want to come forward and make your case, put your facts together and make it. Okay. But by withholding, stating that, oh, by the way, I'm the other party, like Dr. Back failed to do, and now it's coming out in cross, that just all of a sudden makes him, appear very disingenuous to the court and, destroys his credibility. We'll see if it's, determined that he's self-serving or not, or how it's going to play out. But, just in hindsight, it definitely is another point for Dr. Wright. And same with Martti Malmi. Again, Martti Malmi appeared to be very disingenuous. I mean, again, if he was genuine, and I would be calling it like it is. Okay, I'm just telling you the facts as how I see it. But COPA should have disclosed those messages. Okay, he obviously ordered the messages. Martti Malmi did in the archive. He's saying they were there. They could be in there. Oh, but I couldn't get them in time. That's a failure to disclose what's called exculpatory evidence. That evidence right there could prove the case. Oh, I didn't get him in time. That's just a failure to disclose that. And then by his own actions of removing Satoshi from the project, I mean, the guy who made the project, you removed his access, and then you failed to get his messages, and then all of a sudden you want to be a hero, and you say, oh, but if he ever reached out to me, I would give it to him. How would you know? You can't get the messages. Disingenuous witness. Those are both points for Wright. So evaluating this case right now, we're going to say 5 for COPA, 7 for Wright on round 12 of day 13. A couple other things to note here. Tomorrow we've got a big all-star witness called Mike Hearn. He's a super, super big all-star witness. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. He was way early in the Bitcoin days, big name guy. These are like titans. I mean, I wouldn't say titans. I would say big, huge, big swingers in the Bitcoin industry. I mean, these are as big as they get. Martti Malmi, Adam Back, and now Mike Hearn. Super big. So excited to hear that, how that's going to go down. We're back on the stand tomorrow. Responding to a couple of other folks who asked me about getting Dr. Wright on the podcast, on the show. Wright was ordered by the court not to be on any sort of social media. That was on day 2 after he made a post or tweet to day 1. So he's ordered not to. So I don't expect to be hearing anything from Dr. Wright for some time. The other one was about recording the court proceedings. Somebody asked me about that. So, thank you, but no thanks. The court already made an order that, no one's allowed to record the proceedings. Otherwise, it's a contempt procedure and you can't release it on the internet. So thank you for the question, though. So Saturday, I'm going to be releasing a video, premiering a video with Michael Middleton from Acapulco. Sunday, I'm going to premiere a video with Mr. Jack Pitts. A great story that he has. And that's going to be premiering on Sunday. So I'm shooting on Friday. So really, he's got a great story. People will be inspired. And we're going to be talking about the case. But, also, the case itself, I wanted to comment. I was going to go on the CoinGeek show. But apparently, I think CoinGeek and BSV Association right now are trying to limit their involvement in the court case. And I totally, no judgment on that. So what I'm doing is providing this information from my perspective. I don't work for CoinGeek or any of those guys. So, I'm just doing my perspective doing a neutral evaluation as best as I can. So, but, once the case wraps up, and there's a determination on it, I think people will be a lot more open. We can do a round table on it. And I plan on hosting a round table on this where we actually go through and have as many people from the case as possible. Let's say we have Dr. Wright on one side and we have another attorney on the other side, or just the 2 attorneys from either side recapping, because I want to be able to set the record straight and help people, in the future look back and say, well, what was that case all about? without going through a 10 million pieces of paper. What was that case all about? What actually happened in that case? There really isn't. I mean, this is the premier, it's the biggest financial case over the last 100 years. So I would think, I mean, the JP Morgan case, the Lehman Brothers case that JP Morgan had in 2008 or 2011, that was a big case that no one ever heard about that helped them out a lot. But this is the biggest financial case that the people, I think, are more interested in or should be interested in. So we'll see how it plays out. All right, thank you to everybody who's supporting this channel, getting the videos and sharing the videos out there, retweeting them, making comments, posting comments on Twitter. Thank you for hitting the like button. I mean, really, hey, I appreciate it. We'll keep bringing the freaking fire right at you. This is Gavin Mail. Be sure to subscribe. All right, and I'll see you guys at the top.